Yo, what's happening, people? Welcome to the GavGoesIn podcast. Well. It's been a long time, but I'm back on. And I'm gonna be back on regularly to be streaming. Um, I just hope you people just stay tuned in. And as I said, it's gonna be a no holds barred conversations from what I'm gonna touch on today. I'm gonna start on um, the Man United squad. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, which is Gav Goes In. I say regular content is going to be incoming. First one we're going to touch on and say is the Man United squad. So we're going to do the keep, the sell, or the last chance, going through the whole squad. Some of these might be a bit of a surprise to you guys. But as I said, like, drop your comments in, if you disagree, if you agree. But for me, this is my list and what I'm gonna compile and why I think these players should stay and why I think these players ultimately should go, as I feel they're holding the team back. So we're gonna start off Andre Onana, okay, 50 million signing to replace David De Gea. For me, ball playing goalkeeper, I would say for me it's a last chance, and the reason I say that is because I believe that he needs to be given another season, I would say, purely on if there's going to be a change of manager to implement a style of play where it relies on your keeper being an option to play out from the back. His goalkeeping itself isn't great, which needs work on. But I do believe that if he's got a cohesive defense in front of him and he's the sweeper keeper that many believe that he should be, then I would say to just bear him for one more chance and see what he can do. But I think being ruthless, you would say sell, but I'm just basing it on a new manager coming in and a style of play implemented to get the best out of him. So yeah, I would say to keep him as a last chance. So Altay Bayinde. I mean, it's a bit of a tough one because he's not really played. Why he hasn't played is a mystery. I mean, it's a waste of a signing, really. I think if he's going to be a backup to any new keeper coming in, then you would say keep him, which is common sense, really. But yeah, I would say that he's I think he's an experienced international as well. So yeah, as a backup keeper, there's no harm in keeping him. If I'm him, I'll just leave, go elsewhere, and try and find another club because how he's not got a minute of football is ridiculous, really. But I would say just for himself, he needs to leave. But yeah, for me, I'd just keep him as backup. So now we move on to the right backs. Diego Dallo. For me personally, I would keep him. I would bring in a right back to compete with him. I do like Dallo. I do think as an attacking fullback in the modern game now, in terms of his actual ability and his quality, I do think like he has got something defensively. I mean, his awareness isn't the greatest, but I do think he is a right back that should be persevered with at least for another season, and see what he can do in terms of being an attacking threat consistently down the flank. I believe if he's playing regularly with an inverted left-footed wide man, and he can be the overlapping fullback, I do believe that he will come good. He has been quite consistent. I know there's people out there that don't really rate him, but for me, I'll definitely keep him and give him another chance. And as I said, yeah, just get another right back in for competition to either take over and then try and see if Dallo can push him, and ultimately that'll be better for the team. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, me personally, great defensive right back, but if you want to play good football, unfortunately, he's not going to be part of it. So for me, I would just say to Wan-Bissaka. Like, you're not going to be a regular, and I would move him on. As I said, I think in terms of his quality on the ball, he's very limited. Technically, he's just basic. He's not. He ain't anything special, and he ain't. He's just an average player on the ball. I think if you're going to use Wan-Bissaka, it's best to use him against. If you lose him against one of the top wide men in the world, to do a job, he can definitely do a job. But I think if Man United have been serious, then moving him on needs to happen, really. So that's the right backs. Then we move on to the left backs. For me, Tyrell Malacia. I would keep him. He could be like last chance, but I would say to keep because he hasn't really played this season. And I would say there is something there with him. But he needs to stay fit for one. And as I say, I do think in terms of his quality on the ball, he's decent. He is quite tenacious as well. So I do think in a different system, he'd be effective. But the main thing for him is just keeping fit. If he can keep fit, get a regular run of games, then I would say, yeah, he can definitely hold down his place in the team at left back. Then move on to Luke Shaw. For me, Luke Shaw is. I actually do think Luke Shaw is a decent player, but for me, I think he's part of the reason why Man United have stagnated. He's been at the club almost 10 years. For this fan base rates him very highly. The guy's injured more often than not. And I think if Man United want to go in a different direction, players like Luke Shaw have to be moved on. I mean, he's the highest paid fullback in the world, which is madness. There is times when Luke Shaw, has had good games, but for me, there's few and far between. And I will definitely move him on. As I said, there's a lot of talk about moving other players on, but for some reason, his name never gets mentioned. We all know why that is. He's been injured, I believe. I think he's missed 16 games through injury this season, which is a joke in comparison to other players who have been labelled as being injury prone, who have been fit. So for me, Luke Shaw, I would move him on. I think it's time he moves on. And then, as I say, I think in terms of getting another left back in, it's a case where I'd either bring back Alvaro Fernandez on loan from Granada, or you'd go and get another left back to compete with Malacia, in my opinion. So yeah, that's my opinion. So we move on to centre backs now. For me, I'm just going to make it nice and simple. So Rafael Varane, best centre back at the club, World Cup winner, multiple Champions League winner. In terms of on the ball, he isn't the most smoothest, but his Champions League pedigree and just his pedigree in football speaks for itself. So there's not really much to be spoke about Rafael Varane. He needs to be made captain, in my opinion. He's a leader as well. He's not a leader in terms of I don't think he's that vocal, but in terms of like performances and what he's won, clubs he's played for, in terms of Real Madrid, he's captain France as well. It's a no-brainer for me that he should be kept. I hear a lot of talk about reducing his wage. If his wage can be reduced slightly to keep in line with reducing wages, then yeah. But in terms of keeping him, yeah, it's a no-brainer. Definitely keep him. And then Lisandro Martinez. Now, this is a thing that doesn't get spoken about enough with Martinez. Martinez has been injured regularly since he's come to the club, but I believe because a lot of these fans like passion and he gets what it means and this nonsense, he gets given chances. Whereas let's be honest with you, he's been injured and he needs to be scrutinized for that. You know, I would keep him because he's left-footed and he adds balance. And he's a good player, so he's tenacious. You know, he's very good on the ball. He can find a pass, but he needs to stay fit. You know, if we're gonna start saying fitness for other players, it has to be equally shared out. You know, I will definitely keep him, providing he can prove his fitness. So that's a keep. Yeah. Then we move on to Harry Maguire. Me personally, he needs to get out, sell him. He ain't good enough. Got bought for, I believe, 85 million. You know, was made captain of the club. For me, if he had anything about himself, when the captaincy was stripped off him, I know obviously he's on money, but if he had anything about himself, he would have just said, you know, I need to move on. Obviously, the chance to go to West Ham. He wanted to get paid off, which rightly so. I can see where he's coming from. But for me, I think he should have just, you know, sucked it up, gone to West Ham. Captaincy was taken off him, which was highlighted. He wasn't going to be a main player. And then obviously, funny enough, he's now being brought back into the fold. But yeah, for me, he needs to be moved on. He ain't got the right mentality for me. You know, he's not good enough. You know, and for Man United, need to just move him on and just look at bringing in better quality. Either be a starter or as competition for both Varane and Martinez if he can't stay fit. And then the same with Lindelof. In my opinion, not as bad as Harry Maguire, but he needs to move on just because he's just ultimately not good enough. You know, he's reliable in the sense that I think throughout the course of his career at Man United, he has been there. But as I say, being ruthless, he needs to go. He ain't good enough. Simple as. And then you've got Johnny Evans, which Johnny Evans has been a good stopgap central defender for Man United. But I believe he's about 35 now. So I believe that it's been a good signing in terms of you've got him on a free and he has experience to the squad. But again, I'd rather bring in a younger defender from the youth to be that kind of player to try kind of nurture, or you just go out and buy a better defender. And yeah, so you haven't got to rely on someone like Johnny Evans. But I think Johnny Evans has been a good player this season for United. So that's the defense all sorted out. And the goalkeeper. So from the goalkeeper, keeping. So I'm going with Andre Onana to keep. As a last chance. And the same with Bayinde. As I said, Bayinde hasn't really played. So if he's going to be back up, then that's fine. In defense, I'd keep Dalot. And I'd sell Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Left backs, I'd keep Malacia. Another one, providing he stays fit. And I'd sell Luke Shaw. And then in centre backs, I would definitely keep Rafael Varane, keep Lisandro Martinez, providing he stays fit. Same with Malacia. And then I would sell Harry Maguire, Victor Lindelof, and Johnny Evans is a bit of a different case because he's going to go on a free anyway. So that concludes that. Now, moving on to midfield. Okay, so I think nice and easy, we start off with Kobbie Mainoo. Kobbie Mainoo, for me, I believe this guy here, he's gonna be one of the best central midfielders in the country for sure. You know, he's 18, the composure he has on the ball, you know, and what's good is that I believe with Man United, they've been trying to force the youth players too much in my liking. But I do believe since and I'm talking about going back to the likes of Giuseppe Rossi, who was a bad boy, come from Italy. Even like obviously Pogba as well. I believe he's in that bracket of real talented players to come from the youth to step up and be a mainstay for the first team. You know, what I like about Kobbie Mainoo is that he takes the ball under pressure. And to be a top class player, I believe that any player that wants to go to the top of the game needs to be having the ball under pressure in tight situations, you know, and he does that regularly. And the composure for someone of 18 years of age um, is just good to see, man. Like, you know, he's a very good player, so he's a definite keep. And I believe as well, he's a potential captain for the future. You know, he needs to have better players around him, experience around him to nurture him, and I believe, yeah, he'll be special. So yeah, definite keep. Casemiro, for me, easy. You know, it's just like Varane. Well, multiple Champions League winner, experienced, one of the best players in his position. People talk about his age, which is laughable. You know, so little debate on Casemiro. You know, if you know, you know, Casemiro is a top player who needs to be made the vital cog of the team really for experience and nurture guys like Kobe Minu to come through. Maybe 1 minute. So yeah, Casemiro, definitely, he's a definite keep. Just like Varane, I mean, if you're trying to bring down the wage, then yeah, negotiate terms with Casemiro so that he's still getting paid relatively well. But yeah, if you want to bring it down, but definite keep for me. There's no debate about it. Then we move on to Christian Eriksen. I would put Christian Eriksen, it's a bit of a tough one. He's probably going the last chance for me. Last chance or sell. I think purely because of the quality he has, I believe playing him in the right position as well, you'll see an even better Christian Eriksen. For some reason, I don't know why this club is continuously playing him as a central midfield player to fit in another player, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. But yeah, I think playing Christian Eriksen in the 10, you'll see a better Christian Eriksen. I mean, he hasn't got the legs, you know, but his quality is not in doubt, you know. The guy can pick a pass, you know what I mean? The guy can shoot. He's good from set pieces as well. So yeah, for me, he has to stay as a last chance, providing he plays in the right position as a number 10, which is what he is. So yeah, I'll give him a last chance. Then we move on to Mason Mount. Yeah. Now for me, Mason Mount, 60 million on Mason Mount is a joke. Let's be honest. Last year of his contract, and this club has decided, along with the manager, to spend 55 going to 60 million on this guy. Now, for me, I would sell him. It's probably unlikely to happen because he's only just been bought, but I would sell him because I mean, how you because if Man United want to go back to the top, does he have a place in any position to regularly be starting? In my opinion, no. Does he start in central midfield comfortably? No. Out wide? No. And you bought him for 60 million and gave him the number 7 shirt, which is nothing short of a joke. Let's be honest. I mean, he can go in either bracket for me, sell or last chance. I'm purely saying sell because I do believe you could at least get about 40 million back for him, I believe. But yeah, I know he's been there a short time, but for me, I don't really care about that. Just get him out the club. He ain't good enough, you know. So yeah, let's just move on from him. Bruno Fernandes. This guy. For me, the biggest reason why this club is an absolute joke, you know. Not only is Bruno Fernandes overhyped, overrated, yeah, he is someone that actually does think he's better than what he is. I've said this consistently. The throwing of the hands up. Reason a lot of these fans like Bruno Fernandes because he shows passion. He punches the ground when he misses a chance. You know what I mean? He's very theatric as well. And I've been calling this out for time. I've been saying to friends, that this guy is part of the reason why this club is a joke. I would immediately move him on just for the betterment of the club. He's been given a new contract. He's been given the armband in place of players that have actually won stuff. And not only that, as an actual footballer, he's poor. They play him in a number 10, which he's not even a number 10. He's a number 8. In today's football, they're playing him in a 10 because the number 10 requires you to just be a runner, which shows you how much football has dropped off. There's all these stats out for chances created and all these bogus things, which obviously chances created is miscued, because if you pass a ball to a player and a player has a shot, that will count in this day and age as a chance created. So we can't really look at that seriously. But for me, I would just move him on because he's a big problem at this club, massive problem at this club. He ain't good enough, And if any serious manager comes in, the first thing I would do is ship him off the captaincy, to let him know he ain't an automatic starter. By all means, if you want to keep him at the club and make him as a bench player, then by all means. But I think just because of the sheer nature of his attitude, no one talks about his attitude. Yeah, his attitude stinks. I'll just move him on, pure and simple. Yeah, so that's a definite sell for me. Scott McTominay, another one, definite sell. Not good enough. Might get you the odd goal. The fact that he survived this long at a club like Manchester United is nothing short of embarrassing. Yeah, he's just. I think there's not much to say about McTominay. I think the only positive he brings is that he gets you a goal, but that's not good enough. He's not in the team to be doing that. He's a midfielder that doesn't do midfield things. You know what I mean? So on the ball, he's poor. He just got a lot of energy, a lot of passion, and gets you a goal. And if Man United want to be serious again, they need to move away from these kind of players. So, as I said, enough said about that. And then two simple ones. Sofian Amrabat hasn't played enough. He's not going to stay. He's on loan. Do I think he's good enough to hold down a regular place at Man United? No, he's not. It'll be a good rotation option, but I think the emergence of Kobbie Mainoo means that he's not really required, and Man United need to be looking in a different direction and bringing in slightly younger players of better quality. So that's an easy one for me. And then you move on to Hannibal Mabry. For me, Hannibal Mabry is another passion merchant. For me, when I first heard about Hannibal Mabry and I watched him, I thought, do you know what, he's got something. But ultimately, if you look at the level of Kobbie Mainoo and you look at the level of Hannibal Mabry is nowhere near Kobbie Mainoo. So if Hannibal was to come back and be a squad player, then I can see that, come off the bench for 20 minutes, trying to impact the game, then not bad. But as a regular starter and a regular star for United, he ain't the guy. So, yeah, I'll just keep him as either as a last chance or sell him. So, yeah, that concludes the midfield. So, keeps for me, definite Kobbie Mainoo, definite Casemiro. Last chance for Eriksen. Sell for me for Mason Mount. Definite sell for McTominay and Bruno. And then Amrabat, as I said, you won't keep him. He's on loan. And then for me, Hannibal, yeah, in between sell or last chance as a squad player. So now we move on to wide men. So we're going to start off with Amad Diallo. Now, for me, Amad Diallo, I think, has the potential to be one of the best right wingers in the world if played in a better system, cohesive team that want to play pure football. I think this guy has got everything it takes to be as good as anyone playing in that position. His technical abilities is high. He's a good dribbler. He creates. He can score goals. He can link with the front man. He's just a very good player. And these kind of players, unfortunately, are being ousted from the game or are being overlooked. He is a top player in the making, and it would be a disservice to him if Man United don't realise this guy's potential and ability, that he can become a top player. So for me, an easy one, an easy keep, and Man United just need to integrate this guy as soon as possible on that right, and obviously make him a mainstay of the team. He's that good. Yeah, not much more to say. He's a top player. Anthony. When I first watched Anthony, I thought, you know what, this guy's got something. He's got tricks. He can take people on. He can get a goal. I think, let's be honest with you, Anthony is not good enough. I do believe he can be better, but I think purely because of the price tag, which is not his fault. I think that from what I've seen of him, isn't good enough anyway, regardless of the price tag. So I think with Anthony, he needs to. It's going to be a difficult one to move on because of the price. He's another one that drops into the sell or last chance, purely because of the price tag. Now, for me, I would sell him. Just may not have to accept that they're going to take a loss. But then again, who's going to want to pay? If Man United was selling for 40 million, let's say, I'd say take it, because you're not going to get nowhere near 80 million for him. He just ain't good enough. For me, he's all around the point. He looks like he's going to do something, but it very rarely comes to fruition. So I'll just say with Anthony, yeah, he needs to move on, not only for Man United's sake, but for his own career, because he just ain't good enough. So yeah. That for me, that's a sell. And I was going to say last chance, but Man United have been linked to Michael Olise, and if Man United get Michael Olise to go with Ahmad on that right hand side, I'm happy, because looking at player profiles as well, Olise and Ahmad are very similar profiles of players, which is what you need, and if you can get Michael Olise in, then Anthony has to go, because Ahmad and Olise will have that right-hand side, both left-footed players, and it will show me that Man United are going in the right direction if these two are just two starting right wingers at Man United. Both have high technical ability, and both have potential to be two of the best right wingers in the world. So then we move on to the left-hand side. Okay, I'm going to touch on Jadon Sancho first and foremost. Gone out on loan to Borussia Dortmund. To be honest with you, like, the way he's been managed at this club has been nothing short of embarrassing. I mean, people will have their own view on the saga with Ten Hag, when Ten Hag called him out and then Jadon Sancho responded. In my opinion, if it was me, I'm 100% responding as well, because what Ten Hag done wrong is that, regardless if you think Jadon Sancho hasn't trained well, okay, if you want to keep a close-knit group, keep everything in-house, you speak to the player privately, yeah, and as a manager, it's your job to try and get the best out of your player. But when you come and lose a game, the way they lost it, and a guy that's not in the squad, and you decide to publicly out him, yeah, any man that gets publicly outed, yeah, in any form, in any walk of life, any job, I'm sorry, you're going, and if you think that the manager is not telling the truth or he's wrong, just as a man, you're going to come out and defend your corner. I know I would do the same thing. So for me, what Sancho done there, in basically saying that the manager's not telling the truth, I have no problem with that, because I would have done the same thing personally. You hear a lot of things about Jadon Sancho's attitude, this and that, but then other players in the squad, like a Bruno, like a Luke Shaw, their attitude never gets questioned. Garnacho, attitude never gets questioned, but it's always the same players that attitude gets questioned. So all this rubbish that you read from pundits and media, I would say don't believe it. Have your own mind, watch the game, you know, and make up your own opinion. Don't be influenced by these people, because these people are trying to run agendas. So he's gone on loan to Borussia Dortmund. I believe he comes back. I think he needs to get out from United. Negative environment, play some football, enjoy your football, come back, new environment, different manager, hopefully. So that's a definite keep for me. And then we move on to Marcus Rashford. So Marcus Rashford is an interesting one. He has been hyped up to be this player that I, for one, knew he wasn't. He is someone that has capitalized on what this era of football is. It's a lot about social media. It's a lot about relatability as well. He's a relatable person. He's probably come from hardship, and a lot of people can relate to that. But his ability on the pitch, I mean, if you take away Rashford's pace, which seems to have, it's not really a major weapon at the moment. But if you take that away, his football intelligence isn't really there, And Rashford isn't a poor player. He's just an average player that's been made into something that he's not, that he never was. For me, he's been given a new contract, so he ain't gonna go anywhere unless he goes to Saudi, which ain't gonna happen. So for me, he's gonna be on the last chance, and last chance meaning that he's gonna, because of the wage that he's on, he's gonna. For me, I'd let him and Sancho battle it out for the left hand side. My preference would be Sancho, because Sancho is a creator. And just seeing now he's taking a number 10 shirt at Dortmund, which is a big coup. So for me, Rashford for me would have to battle it out for Sancho on that left hand side. But he needs to. For me, I'd move him on, but just purely on the wage, he's not going to be moved on, which is very unlikely. But next season, he's going to have to buck up his ideas and try and earn his way into the team, not be an automatic starter. So, and then we move on to Alejandro Garnacho. For me, this guy ain't good enough. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care how old he is. He's very arrogant for a player that's done nothing in the game. Let's be honest with you. He's someone that he purely is liked because he shows intent. I've been saying this for time. Because he gets the ball and he runs with the ball, people just like the intent. But his end product is shocking. Yeah, he runs, he works hard, but that should be a given. He's come from the youth. He's trying to make a way in the game. That's fair enough. But that shouldn't be that shouldn't be something that is highlighted. Let's look at the quality. And his quality isn't there. You know what I mean? Goal against Everton, great goal. No denying him. But that's a goal that he will never score again. You know what I mean? But credit where credit's due, it was a great goal. But ultimately, this guy ain't good enough. If he's going to be a bench option in terms of last 20 minutes, I can see that. But if this guy's starting regularly, Man United are going in the wrong direction, because he ain't good enough. I don't care what anyone says. He just, pure and simple, ain't good enough. So I would, me personally, I would sell him. I believe the next couple of years, he won't be at the club if Man United are trying to be serious, because he ain't going to be, he's nowhere near good enough. I don't care about age. Age doesn't come into it. You're in the first team. What are you doing? People only talk about someone's age when really they ain't good enough. Age is no barrier. Kobe Mainoo's 18. No one chats about his age because Kobe Mainoo can play football. He's a good player already at that age. You know what I mean? So me personally, I'd move Garnacho on. He ain't good enough. And then you look at Palestri. Palestri as well, I would move Palestri on. Hasn't had many chances, but I think the quality of someone like an Ahmad, and then if you get an Elise in, Pelestri ain't that quality, you know. And I think at this stage as well, I think Pelestri does need to just play regular football. So I think in terms of Pelestri and Garnacho, I do think Pelestri offers more in terms of he's more creative. But I'll just move him on just for that sake. So yeah, that concludes the wide men. So for me, Ahmad, definite keep. Anthony, I would sell. Pelestri, as I said, I would sell as well. Has had many games. And then Jadon Sancho for me, come back from Dortmund, definite keep. Marcus Rashford for me is on his last chance purely because of his wage. And I do feel that as a bench option as well, Rashford will have an impact off the bench if he's playing in a team where he knows he's not an automatic starter and he has to work his way into the team. And Garnacho, for me personally, I'd sell him. He ain't good enough, you know. If he wants to play 20 minutes off the bench, then there's an argument. But in terms of being a regular starter for Man United, no way. So I'd move him on. So now we're going to go into the last bit of strikers. For me, Anthony Martial. This is an easy one for me. I'd keep him. And I'll tell you why I'd keep him. He's been mismanaged throughout his whole career at Man United. He's the best number 9 at the club still, you know. With Martial, he's been unfairly criticised. Well, I say heavily unfairly criticised. If you look at world football now as well, which people don't even look at, number 9s are a dying breed. Yeah, there ain't a number 9 with his skill set in the game currently that is gettable. Yeah, the guy can hold the ball up, he can score goals, he can create goals, he can dribble, he can shoot. You know, he's strong on the ball. You know, his pace isn't as it was, obviously due to the injuries, but he has got a fair bit of pace still. Yeah, the only thing that can be leveled at Martial, yeah, is injury. You know, this season he's been injury free, so we can't even use this excuse. I just believe Martial playing in a cohesive front line, yeah, with the likes of Ahmad one side, or at least if he comes in, Sancho the other side, and Martial through the middle. You've got creativity there. You've got goals there. You've got pace there. You know what I mean? You've got everything in terms of being a fluid front three. So for me, Anthony Martial's an easy keep. You know, I don't listen to the media. Some of these fans, I don't listen to none of them. At the end of the day, I know what I see, and this guy is a class player. You know, he's very good. You know, and I believe playing him in a good team where he's getting chances, this guy will score goals. He's a very good finisher, ice cold finisher, very technical as well. He just needs to be playing in a team that is cohesive. He's 28 now as well, so he's arguably in his prime. You know, if he stays injury free, there's no debate. You know, so for me, I want him. I mean, if he was to go on loan, let's say this month, to a Champions League team, yeah, for 6 months, does his business, comes back, club should give him a new contract. Or if he wants to stay and force Ten Hag to play him, and then the clubs look at him and think, you know what, there's nothing out there in the market that's better than Martial. You know, he is good. Give him a new contract by all means. But some of the nonsense I've been hearing, you know, some of the players they've been linked with and to get rid of is a joke. Sorry, spare me 1 minute. Ooh. So yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, so for me, Anthony Martial, easy keep for me. As I said, yeah, the only thing people can level at him is people will say consistency, but the whole team is inconsistent. So you can't just level that at one player. It's a massive problem with the team. And his injury, and I say he's been injury free this season, so let's hope that continues. So for me, yeah, that's an easy one for me. Rasmus Højlund. For me, Rasmus Højlund ain't good enough. He's not. I think he's another one like Garnacho, like Bruno. He's a tryhard, you know. He looks like he puts in a lot of effort, but that should be a given. And the problem is, these Man United are in a place now where they're starving for success, and they're trying to cling on to players like this because I suppose it feels closer to them. You know, like they'll use this same old nonsense like he cares. He can care all he wants. He ain't good enough. I think fundamentally he looks like he's got something about him in terms of he looks like he's got good pace. But ultimately, when you watch him on the pitch, he's not intelligent. He's very hit and miss with his touch. And another one, I don't care about his age. Like, age shouldn't come into it. People only mention age when the player ain't good enough. I know he was bought for a lot of money as well. The guy's got one goal. He had one league goal in 2023, which is shocking. You know, doesn't get spoken about enough. Yeah, he's just not good enough. And for me, I would move him on, or make him another one, someone that's coming off the bench to have an impact, because the amount of money he was bought for, Man United ain't going to get that money back. So, yeah, I mean, I would put him in the last chance, really, or just sell him, which, as I say, Man United will make a loss on, because from what I've seen of him, and as I say, you bought for that amount of money, and you have one goal to show for it, ain't good enough. So yeah, he needs to be moved on if Man United are being ruthless and being serious, or, you know, worst case scenario for him, be a bench option. I don't believe he's good enough to be starting. So yeah, and then the debatable one, which is Mason Greenwood. For me, purely on football, all the other stuff, people have their opinions. You know, it's down to interpretation, or for a lot of these people. But I'm talking purely on a footballing level. Bring him back. The guy's a generational talent. You know, I mentioned earlier about the youth coming through, and I forgot to mention his name. But if you look at the youth that's come through, and I'm talking about, as I said, Giuseppe Rossi, Paul Pogba, Mason Greenwood's in that. Them three guys, off the top of my head, from what I can remember, Ravel Morrison, another one as well, are elite talents that have come through the youth. So for me, he needs to be brought back on a pure footballing level. I believe these fans will get over it as well. You know, majority of fans will get over it if he starts putting the ball in the back of the net. You know, we know how fickle fans are. But I just believe someone of that ability, that talent, on a footballing level, just needs to be brought back in, because Man United are in no position to be turning up their noses at players like this. You know, he's special, Mason Greenwood. So that's it. So that concludes it. So yeah, we'll go through the whole squad again. So the keeps for me, for the whole squad, yeah, definite keeps: Rafael Varane, Diego Dallo, Lisandro Martinez, Kobe Mainu, Casemiro, Amad Diallo, Jadon Sancho, Anthony Martial. They're the definite keeps. And I believe those guys there are fundamental to playing good football as well. So they're all keeps. And then you've got the last chance players. So you've got Onana, Malacia, Christian Eriksen, Marcus Rashford. And then the players to sell: Wan-Bissaka, Luke Shaw, Victor Lindelof, Harry Maguire, Scott McTominay, Bruno Fernandes, Mason Mount, Anthony, Garnacho, Rasmus Højlund. So that's my list there. Whether this happens or not is highly unlikely, but at least I would like to see the club trying to move in that direction. And most importantly, keep the better players playing, keep the best players. It's just, to me, it's weird how the best players in terms of technical players don't play. And people wonder why the football's so poor, because you just got a bunch of headless chickens running around the pitch that ain't got the technical level of the players that ain't playing or have had to go out on loan. In terms of the manager, it's very simple for me. He needs to go. He ain't good enough. He's arrogant as well as a manager. When I first heard Man United were interested in Ten Hag, I was excited because I thought to myself, since Louis van Gaal, Man United are going to get a coach, someone that is going to improve the players, someone that's going to play the right players. If I'm honest with you, Ten Hag has lied to us. He's doing basically what Solskjaer's done, playing the same players that shouldn't be playing, who ain't good enough. But to make it worse, at least with Solskjaer, he had players that probably liked him. This manager has fallen out with so many different players, and it seems to be the best, and it's the best players he's falling out with, the better players he's falling out with. So for me, he's on borrowed time anyway, because Man United ain't going nowhere under this manager. Some of these fans can lie to you all they want, but Man United ain't getting nowhere with this manager. So, and obviously they got a new regime involved now as well. So they're going to want to have their own guy in place. So he's just on borrowed time. So I think it's a matter of time before he goes. Can I see Man United losing more and more games? Yeah, because just look at the team he's picking. He's picking all the players that shouldn't be playing or should either been sold. And ultimately, the results are going to be up and down. So yeah, I just feel that he needs to get out of the club as soon as possible. And then, as I say, the players that I want to keep need to be integrated back into the team with a better manager who wants to play better football, and then obviously get more signings in to complement the players that are already there. So yeah, that's my keep, sell, or last chance for Man United. Hope you guys like the stream. Be sure to follow my channel. The link's in the description. GavGoesIn. As I say, regular content's going to follow. Got the Man United game coming up on Sunday. Might do a live watch along for that, or I might just react to the game afterwards. But yeah, thanks guys. Yeah, be sure to subscribe to me, and I'll catch you guys later.